Hello again. To deepen your focusing, stay in contact with the unclear edge. What does that mean? Well, absolutely essential to focusing is that we're in touch with a felt sense. And another way to say that is to stay with an unclear edge. And this is such an odd concept, this felt sense or this unclear edge, that it helps to say it again and again and in different ways. And let me also give you a bit of the background here. When focusing was first discovered, right? So Eugene Gendlin did research. He was doing research as part of a team at the University of Chicago, along with Carl Rogers. And they were doing research into successful therapy. What makes psychotherapy successful? It was found that the clients who were going to be successful were talking from something that was hard to put into words. They were slowing down, they were groping for words. They were, at least at some points in their session, saying things like, I'm not sure, it's right here, I'm not sure how to say it, okay? And they'd be kind of pointing to the body as they said this. They may not have said it's in my body, but they would often be gesturing in front of them. And sometimes they would say kind of in my chest or kind of in my stomach. That way of talking, groping for words, slowing down, saying I can't put this into words very well, saying it's right here, it's like, right? And then needing to find fresh metaphors, like a little kid inside with his arms crossed, or like a big wall that I can't get past. That's what tended to characterize success in psychotherapy. And that's where focusing comes from, right? Gendlin did that research. He and his colleagues looked at it. They said, wow, people are not learning to do this. They are either doing it at the start of therapy or they never do it. So let's teach it to them. Let's teach it to the people who are not doing it naturally. That's what became focusing. What do we need to remember about this? It's that there's a dimension underneath our usual ways of thinking and talking. And if we just say what we already know, it was a terrible thing, we didn't have any choice, we just had to go ahead with it, da-da-da-da-da. You know how you kind of tell about events in your life almost the same way each time. Well, if we just say what we already know, and think what we already know, and feel about what we already know, because what we already know can bring up strong feelings. It was a betrayal. How could she do that? But it's still the same thing over and over. There's no access to the way through all that if you just say and think and feel the same things again and again. What Gendlin discovered, not just in that research, but also through his philosophy, is that there is a dimension underneath what we already know and the words we're using over and over again. And that dimension he called the implicit dimension. And what's true of that implicit dimension is it's always here. We can access it. And it has more to it than what we already know. In the implicit dimension are discoveries to be made. Oh, it wasn't a betrayal. It was actually, or oh, I'm not really angry. I'm really. And as those discoveries are made, emerging from the implicit dimension, new, fresh life moves forward. There is something new happening. You're making steps of change. That's why we have to include that dimension. We call it felt sensing, or we call it spending time with the unclear edge. The edge, that metaphor of edge, meaning sort of like where the sea meets the land, right? There's an edge right there. It's actually enormously fertile, right? the borders are always so fertile. There's so much life of different kinds emerging at an edge. And so the edge is, here's what I already know, all true as far as it goes, probably. And I include that, but I'm not just going over it over and over again. I'm sitting at the edge of it, feeling into the unknown from there. And the unknown is found in the body, in the feel of it all, the feel of it all that's more than words can capture. And one way to get to that is to take an incident in the past that's still bothering you and to remember everything you already feel about it and then get a fresh feel of it in your body. Right? So it might be, okay, I came downstairs, I noticed that the milk had been out on the counter all night. I decided that probably was my nephew who had done it, and I felt mad at him and annoyed. So, and I can tell that story over and over again. Oh, my nephew is so terrible, he left the milk out. Or I can come in to my body and get a fresh feel of it, which would have in it things I can't quite articulate yet. Probably still about me and my nephew, but also maybe about me, my history, what it means to me to live with somebody who doesn't think about me late at night when they're putting or not putting something away, and so on. And that may lead me to the next thing and the next thing. So something new can happen when we pause and get this fresh feel. It's hard to do. The easiest thing to do is always to just use your usual thoughts about something. They're nice and clear. You feel smart. When you get down to the felt sense, it's so fuzzy and so not quite in words that you don't feel as smart, probably. There's this blank. Eugene Gendlin calls that coming up against a blank wall, meaning right now I have no idea. We have to learn to tolerate that blankness for a while. It's not nothingness. There's something there. It just seems blank because there's no description for it yet. There's no meaning. It doesn't feel like it has any reasonable yet. But it's there. There's something there. And that's when I recommend that you use this marvelous word, something. The most facilitative word in any language. And you rather than saying, I don't know what this is, at least you can say, I feel something. I feel, yes, something is here. Okay? The word something, and that something is here, gives you kind of a foothold in that unknown territory. Something is here.